I could never become a Muslim because of this. And I also don't think you should be a Muslim.
Well, the problems with your claims for why you said you could never be a Muslim are actually just bogus and nonsense. You claim that you follow Christianity because you have over 40 different authors of the Bible. The problem, though, is that your own Bible scholars tell us that the majority of these authors are unknown and anonymous. Nobody knows who they are. So why would you follow a book from unknown people who you don't even know who they are? You claim that the Bible has a consistent theology and the stories all back each other up. No, they don't, sir. That's why the Jews, even to this very day, still reject Christianity because the Bible is not consistent, right? The Old Testament does not teach the Trinity, yet Christianity says that God is three in one. The Old Testament never says that, so it's not consistent. The Old Testament says no one can die for the sins of another. Christianity says this man Jesus died for the sins of others, right? The Old Testament says God hates human sacrifice. The New Testament says Jesus is a human sacrifice. The Old Testament says God hates the shedding of innocent blood, right? But the New Testament says God accepted the innocent blood of Jesus as a sacrifice. So it's not consistent at all, sir. The Old Testament says God says he starts to tell us that he doesn't desire the sacrifices and the burnt offerings. New Testament says God accepted Jesus as a sacrifice. He still needed Jesus to be a sacrifice. So it's not consistent at all, sir. No way. The Old Testament says the Messiah will be victorious and restore Israel back to the kingdom. New Testament says Jesus was a failed Messiah and got killed by his enemies and did not return Israel back to its prominent place. So it's not consistent at all. You said you have many eyewitnesses to the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus. No, you don't. You don't have one single eyewitness to the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus. Not one. You don't have not one eyewitness to any of that at all, sir. He said many non-Christian historians that you back up the claim that Jesus lived and crucified. Once again, false. No, you don't. You don't have any historian from the time of Jesus that said he saw Jesus or met his disciples, saw him live, or saw him crucified. The so-called historians that you do have come decades after the time of Jesus and his disciples. None of them are eyewitnesses. None of them said they spoke to any eyewitnesses to corroborate any of this. And more shockingly, historians let us know that some of these supposed past historians that mention Jesus or his crucifixion or whatever, that these are actually forgeries that were added to these ancient historians' writings, and they were actually forgeries that were added. So they don't mention Jesus at all. So in any case, all you have are that they're just repeating the hearsay, or their writings have been forged, where they added stuff about Jesus. Okay, so you have mounds of evidence on the Christian side, when in reality, as I just pointed out, everything you have is mounds of nonsense. It's mounds of nonsense. It's mounds of hearsay. It's mounds of nothing in actuality. So on the Muslim side, you said we just trust one man. We have this one man, but contrary to what you said, there's corroborating evidence for what this man brought to us. That's the difference. You said there's no corroborating evidence for the revelation. Wrong. Actually, there is. There is historical evidence that shows this, that the Bible has been corrupted, like the Quran says. There is historical evidence that shows that the claim of Jesus being crucified actually is nothing but conjecture and hearsay, as I just pointed out. So there actually is corroborating evidence for the Islamic side, sir. So you're wrong. So it's not just Muhammad told me so, as you claim. There's evidence to back up what he said. You see, if somebody claims to be a prophet, as you mentioned, well, of course, you wouldn't just accept it on face value. You would investigate and see, does this person's claims stand up to the facts or not? And when you investigate Muhammad's claim to be a prophet, the evidence does support that he was indeed and did indeed give us the truth that he said he got from God. So that's the reason, sir, that I choose Islam over Christianity.